All right, and it's my turn to open.
Okay. And is it pretty what was it called?
The episode?
Yeah.
Hot Grim Reaper.
Hot Grim Reaper. Yep.
And let
Yep,
me
yep.
tell you,
Hell yeah.
hell yeah. Like, please, I wife the Hot
Have
Grim
you
Reaper?
have you seen Agatha all along?
I've seen the first two episodes. Then I canceled my Disney Plus.
Oh, Derek?
No, I haven't seen it.
Oh, never mind.
Is there a
Oh,
Hot Grim Reaper?
you'll just have to
Maybe.
watch and find out.
Maybe.
Is it Aubrey Plaza?
You'll
I'm
just
here
have to
for
watch
it.
and find out.
It's totally Aubrey Plaza. Yeah. No, I could be the trophy husband of the Hot Grim Reaper. Totally, I'm on board for this. Sounds fun.
Even if that means I die.
Worth it. I'm gonna keep all of that in.
I love this.
That's what we call a cold open.
I've heard a podcast before. They call it ABR, always be recording.
Always be recording. Yep. Okay, now I'm gonna start. Hey everyone, welcome back to the Castaway Consultants, where we teach future Survivor contestants how to play the game by criticizing current players. Today we are talking about episode 8 of season 49, Hot Grim Reaper, which is a phenomenal title and hopefully my future wife. And I'm joined by my two fellow Castaway Consultants. I'm Ryan Stacy. I don't know if I said that. I'm distracted by the title. Welcome, Derek Kubicek and Josh Wessler. How you guys doing?
Hey, coming to you live remotely, I suppose, or maybe not live, previously recorded, but live, and we are all separate today. So if it sounds a little different, that's just because we're all in different places today, but still bringing the same old show, hopefully same old quality. Ryan will have the same bad takes, but I'm excited to talk about it with you guys.
Yes, and I'm also glad to be here. And I just want to say that is a very nice jersey you have in the background, Derek.
Oh,
We don't
thank
get
you.
to
Look,
see, your video very often. You usually
yeah,
just
it's
see the
signed.
blank white walls in my video, and then whatever is in Ryan's apartment.
Yeah, we got to figure out something to do with these shoes, but no, it's
I think you can see my Emmys right
you
behind
can
me. Yeah, I
you
think
can
that's my
see.
my two Emmy awards right there. So my one more than Josh.
Regional Emmy award.
Emmy's an Emmy,
Still
baby.
still counts.
Still counts.
Yeah, we have 3 total on this
Yeah.
podcast.
I would love an Emmy. I can't believe that I'm the only one on the show without an Emmy. It's disgusting. It makes me feel like I'm out of the trio.
Well, when I first got nominated for my first Emmy, I came home all excited. I was living with Josh at the time, and I was telling him about it. He's like, "Oh yeah, I have one of those," and I was just like, "What?" And so Josh explains to me how he already has an Emmy, and for a while, and I didn't win that year. So I was just like, I can't believe I'm the only person in Josh and Ryan's apartment who doesn't have an Emmy. This is so stupid.
One person actively in like media.
Yep. But now I got two, so get wrecked, Josh.
Guess I just had to get back in the game.
Yeah, yeah.
Dust it off.
Anyway, back to the Hot Grim Reaper of it all, which again is just a phenomenal title, and what a great Halloween costume idea.
Next year, man.
Yeah, next year. Uh, but anyway, so Survivor, that's what this podcast is about, right? We had quite the episode tonight. Some real craziness went down. I'm really excited to get into it. I really enjoyed the episode. Like, twists and all, I really enjoyed it. Because this was kind of a twist that we'd kind of done before, but it was tweaked and made a lot better, and it's something I've been pitching, or at least thinking about. Like, this could be a good twist in my head for a long time.
Yeah, ironically, it had been a conversation in the last episode, maybe the last 2 episodes, about the structure of the new era being a little bit formulaic, a little repetitive, yet has, some twists and turns occasionally that have come up. But one of the things that we've seen quite a few times in the new era is right away after the merge, splitting into 2 tribes, and each tribe votes someone out, or one tribe's completely immune and the other one votes someone out. This is the first time that we got this tweak happening just in this way, and I think it's maybe my favorite so far. And it really helps that there's an idol in play, but I think that there's so many layers going on here, just with how they decide to mix it up.
We did get a version of this earlier, but I think it was 44, and it was really stupid. We'll get into that once we get into spoilers. But this is the first time we've gotten this total incarnation.
Yeah, and I'll say, I guess I'm in the podcast minority. I didn't particularly like the twist this time, just because we've already kind of done this type of dynamic, but without getting into spoilers, we can't really discuss it. So I'd love to finish fleshing out my opinion once we hit our spoiler section. Can we do that now?
All right, 3, 2, 1, get out of here. Spoilers.
Spoiler alert. So we're going to award immunity to half the people, based on the challenge performance. They're divided randomly into cohorts. One half gets immunity, the other half does not. What I don't like about this is we are losing another opportunity to see what happens when this group interacts as a large group. Now, I understand that we've done iterations of this in the past, and I'm okay with it. It's still playing a little bit into the formulaic piece of it, and it's like we're going to take this aspect of Earn the Merge and just move it one episode in, kind of. But now we have a 5-person tribal council again, and I'm not going to lie, I like seeing 10 people there getting grilled all at once by Jeff and seeing if people can wiggle and wriggle and do something. So I wasn't the biggest fan. I'm not against it. I didn't mind seeing it. But it's just not my preferred mechanic in the game. But that said, I'm not opposed to it. I'm glad we're trying new things.
So, as we've talked about it in the past, I think the main criticism I have had of this type of twist is once we merge, I want at least one regular episode where there's no twist. It is just everyone voting with one person getting immunity, and we go from there. And some of the time we've had like the Earn the Merge, and then the very next episode, we split them into 2 again. It's like, no, just calm down. Let us have a regular episode and then do something like this. This time, we got that. We got our regular episode last week, our regular merge. So now we're into something a little crazier. So that part's good. And then we go back to the last time we did basically this twist was in 44. And it was 2 groups. They get split in half. One goes to tribal council. I guess we did something similar in 47 as well. But in 44, what we did was the other half gets to go and watch. And then I think it was Heidi got a control a vote advantage, and she got to control somebody's vote, and it was really stupid. And Matt went home, and it was just kind of a garbage twist. I really, really hated that one. This actually feels a little bit more like an unmerge, which is something I've thought about like for years. Like, what if they merge and then do like a full unmerge, and then one group wins immunity, the other group goes to tribal council. That's basically what this was. There's a little wrinkle with the one extra person being added to the losing tribal council, but that's kind of what this was. It was an unmerge, at least for one episode.
Yeah, I think my one biggest counterpoint or rebuttal to what Derek was talking about is exactly that, Ryan, is that I think we've all kind of been on the same page that we want a normal vote after the merge. But now that the Earn the Merge is essentially gone, and we got a regular vote last time, that I completely am fine with this type of format just because we got the full 11 people last time, and now we're splitting 10 into 2 groups. So I think it really helped me enjoy it more just because there was that fuller, more just standard tribal last week.
Yeah.
My final point on this before we get into the episode proper, what I don't like about it is it gives more power to those production interference mechanics like shot in the dark, any hardware, even if there's too much hardware in the game, which there's not too much hardware in the game right now. I'm okay with that, but it gives more power to shot in the dark, and gives more power to hardware. It gives more power to the twist itself, and it may nullify any of the new bonds they made just as they had come to emerge. So that's what I don't like about it, but all of the positives you guys said, I'm not going to refute them. That's why I'm not upset that it happened. It's just, again, not my preference. So let the audience decide and let us know how you felt about the twist.
I think it's just a way to make sure it's not a boring pagonging all the way to the end, which I do understand from a production level.
Yes.
So anyway, should we get into the full episode proper now that we've discussed the twist?
Yes.
Let's do it.
All right. So we're going to get back to camp with Sophie B, Savannah, and Rizzo all on the outs after Nate goes home. And everyone's going to start doing damage control. Sophie B is going to try and abandon Savannah and Rizzo if she has to. What's interesting is Sage and Jawan are both a little hurt that MC didn't tell them about her idol. Have you never watched Survivor before? You're not supposed to tell anyone about it. That's the right move. So I think it's ridiculous that Jawan and Sage are hurt by this and see it as a reason not to trust her as much. It's no, that is baseline average Survivor. That tells you MC is a decently smart player. That's all that tells you. That should not change your trust level at all. That's ridiculous.
Well, and it seems like it's just as much, the fact that she played it and not that she withheld the information. Just because it's oh, she played it, so she didn't fully trust us because otherwise she would have, hung on to it because she, trusted us enough to know that she was in the majority. I guess she's not as trusting in me. I think Jawan was the one that really stood out the most in that conversation. Jawan was saying, I guess she doesn't trust me as much as I thought. So something to be wary about going forward. So I think that this is more so just kind of, I don't know, something to consider as someone who is holding on to an idol. Maybe, gosh, I don't want to say tell more people about it, or maybe, or that like tell people that you're going to play it no matter what. Just because then anything after tribal like doesn't matter because it's like, hey, I did what I said I was going to. I think you're gonna have people making their judgments no matter what happens after that.
Right, and it's a stupid judgment from Jawan and Sage, is what I'm saying. It's a dumb judgment.
You have to plan for that though. You have to plan for people making stupid judgments in Survivor on a cast that you're working with. People aren't gonna always be playing 100% the right way, so you have to be prepared for those people who you are potentially aligned with.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean you tell them about the idol. That's ridiculous. That is ridiculous.
I'm just saying. I don't know. I'm not saying to do it. Just something to consider.
So where I'll jump in, Josh walked back like a little bit. He's not saying, and Josh, you're here. You can defend yourself. You're not saying that they need to tell more people about their idol. You walk back on that statement when you kind of suggested it. When I'm on Survivor, I am not going to adjust my gameplay to placate the potential of a Jawan being mad at me because I had a secret immunity idol. Where I think Josh is right is, well, if that's the kind of person you're playing with, you need to be able to do very quick and thoughtful damage control if you want to maintain that relationship.
Sure.
But maybe you don't want to be working with the Jawans of the world unless there is no other choice. So I'm not changing my Survivor strategy because of this, because it just tells me again that Jawan is maybe not as thoughtful of a player here. If anything, like you said, Ryan, he should be taking the lesson that, oh, okay, cool, MC can keep a secret.
What I'm saying is Jawan and Sage should be better. That's what I'm saying. But we're going to lose MC tonight. MC's the one that goes home. And if this was a factor, that is stupid, considering everything else we saw tonight. So, a little bit of a spoiler tease ahead. This was a bad move. We'll get more into that when we get there, but I think voting on MC was dumb.
Stay tuned.
We'll stay tuned. Stay tuned, because we all have our opinions here.
Jawan's going to do damage control with Rizzo, which I do like. So he does still plan to take Rizzo out, but he still wants that open line of communication just in case, which is exactly what you want to do. You want as much communication coming to you as possible.
Yeah, well, and Savannah, I think, does a really good job with this as well. Both Rizzo and Savannah, I think, do a pretty good job saying, hey, good move on you guys. Just glad it wasn't me. Thank you for keeping me around. Well, I understand that maybe some people were a little more authentic in how they go about those interactions. At least the words coming out were the right things. And I'm glad that Juwan was also trying to build back that bridge. To me, everything that happened right back on the beach post-vote was pretty good. 8 out of 10 for everyone in all areas, at least.
Sure. Alex, Steven, and Christina, they're going to go idol hunting because MC played her idol. They want to play defensively and make sure nobody in the minority gets it. Christina finds it and shows it to Alex and Steven. And, great, you have an idol. People know about it. That's less great. Even Alex is like, I can throw her under the bus if I want to. Exactly. You just don't want other people to know about your idol. So Christina, I don't know how much danger she's in right now. So maybe she doesn't need to play it right away. But I'd be scared if I was her.
Honestly, I forgot, like, with how much ended up happening in this episode, I forgot that she even got an idol. Is that bad? This also feels like the type of idol, just with who Christina so far has been as a player, that she's going to hold on to and be able to just hold on to it until like final 5, burn it at 5, and then be 3rd place or something.
Seems likely.
I think this is kind of nothing material, nothing important really is happening here other than, okay, cool. I guess they all agreed it was more of a defensive idol hunt. I think that's a good thing to mention for everyone who's not in the minority here. No one's expecting a quasi-unmerge, but at least you know that Rizzo and Savannah and potentially Sophie B did not end up with another piece of hardware in their pocket. But they also don't know about Sophie's knowledge is power, which if Alex goes blabbing, Christina might lose her idol that way. Rizzo might still lose his idol this way. Knowledge is dangerous.
Yep. Knowledge is power.
I didn't want to say that. I purposefully didn't say that.
Savannah is the next target because People don't like her as much as they like Rizzo. And Sage wants to build a relationship with Sophie B, bring her in, and basically explains to her why she doesn't like Savannah. And so Sophie B's like, yeah, okay, yeah, whatever. I'll work with you. Who cares about Savannah? But we're going to cut to Savannah getting emotional because she definitely feels on the outs now. And she compares it to how she felt on her former news team, where she felt iced out on her staff. And it led to a lot of stressful medical stuff for her. So you feel bad for sure. A nice emotional moment for Savannah.
Yeah, it's a good humanizing moment for Savannah. It helps paint her picture a little bit more clearly. Obviously, wishing anyone with medical stuff the best. Again, I mean, as someone who's been having a pretty rough 2025 himself, get better, people. If you're not feeling good and you need to make a change, make a change.
So we're going to go to the immunity challenge, and like we said, it's kind of like the an unmerge. We're going to get split into 2 groups of 5, and the last group standing, they get group immunity. Those 5 will not go to tribal council. They're safe. They get some food, and they're all safe, with the winner overall getting an advantage of some kind. The losing group of 5 will go to tribal council, and it'll just be the 5 of them. One of them's going home. So the winning group ends up being Steven, Christina, Sophie B, Alex, and Savannah. Savannah wins overall, so she's going to get an advantage just when she needs it. So that means the people going to tribal council right now are Sage, Rizzo, MC, Jawan, and Sophie S. Seems like, oh, obviously Rizzo's going to go home, except everyone knows Rizzo has an idol, so that makes it complicated. And so then we have 2 Hina and Sophie S and MC, 2 Uli and Sage and Jawan. So yeah, it's definitely, as we were going away from the immunity challenge, I'm like, this is a really interesting group to go. So they have a fun split, I thought.
Yeah, and just based off of what we had been talking about last episode, I think Ryan was specifically trying to call his shot that Rizzo was going to go home because Sophie was going to play Knowledge is Power on him. But Sophie is now on the other tribe, so Rizzo is safe? His idol is safe.
His idol is safe. Darn it. I would have felt like such a genius if I had pulled that one off, but oh well.
This is a very interesting group to go, simply because you have 2 Hina, 2 Uli, and 1 betrayed Uli in the middle with Rizzo. So is Rizzo mad enough that he'd be willing to go over here? Would he try to beat Uli strong? Would the 4 who just voted together, would they stay together and try and vote out Rizzo? I'm realizing I'm doing this the way that they were sitting on their bench after they were voted out because Rizzo was right in the middle. And I was like, did they do that on purpose?
At the challenge, probably not.
Probably not. So it was maybe one of the more interesting groups that could have gone, just because Sage and Juwan were involved with 2 Hina, and then Rizzo being the one with an idol is going there as well. So as much as I don't love the mechanic, we do get an interesting result. So 0.1 to production on that front.
So Sophie S is going to come up with a plan, and for context, Sophie S got second in this challenge and really gave it her all. She won immunity last time, so she's kind of emerged as someone who's good at these challenges. But her plan is for the others to tell Rizzo to vote Sophie S, vote herself. So hey, we're gonna try and flush the idol or get that person with the idol out of the game. Who are we gonna tell them is the real target? And Sophie S throws her own name out, which is a plan I love. It's risky, but if you want this to work, this is probably the best way to make that happen, because it doesn't piss off anybody else in your alliance. It does put you in danger, but Sophie S is already in danger. So I like the idea. So they all say, hey, we're going to vote for Sophie S, convince Rizzo of that. Hopefully he doesn't play his idol, and they all come up the middle and blindside him. Potentially an amazing plan. I wish this had worked. This would have been hilarious.
I don't like it. I don't like whenever you throw your own name out there. I don't care. Like it almost feels like trying to big brain it a little bit. Either commit to trying to get Rizzo out and have a backup plan based off of who he wants to get out, or don't even bother and find someone else. Why put yourself in harm's way this way?
Well, because she's the minority. If she doesn't pitch this, it could easily break that Jawan and Sage go with Rizzo, and then it's easily her or MC. At least this way, you could, it may be a little big brain, but this is kind of a desperate situation.
Sure.
So it's not something I would recommend a lot of the time, but I think specifically for Sophia, specifically in this spot, I like it.
She could also maybe try to align herself with Rizzo.
Could do that.
Instead of making herself the target, only talk to Rizzo and say, hey, they're coming for you. I'd play your idol and, actually work with him. I know there were conversations that happened, but they were fake conversations. And so it'd be like, who can we target and put 2 votes on and have this thing work out in our favor? You got to get him to believe you, but
And I don't know if she's got that connection with him to make him believe her. I think he could easily just go back and talk to Jawan and Sage about what she told him, and then it all blows up in her face again.
true.
Sophie S is in a bad spot here. Let me be clear.
Well, I'm gonna tease something coming up later in the episode. We all have Sophie S pretty low down in our dank rank and jank downs. And the lank downs, again, a little bit of a teaser, agree. Sophie S is in a place where she needs to start to have more agency in this game and have some things throwing weight behind what she's trying to do. Tell Rizzo that you're voting for me. We vote for Rizzo. We blindside him with an idol in his pocket. If it works, that's a move to your name. You're proving that you're a contender. You're already turning into a physical threat. All of a sudden, I think people are taking your game a little more seriously if you can pull off this move. What I don't like is what happens next.
Yeah. Baseline, though, I like it.
Yes, yes.
So, yeah, Jawan and Sage throw this to Rizzo and like, hey, hello, should we do MC or Sophie S? And they steer it towards Sophie S, with the reasoning being like, hey, she's a challenge threat. Sophie S comes with a plan to throw a vote on Jawan just in case it goes to a tie, and then they can maybe take him out instead. Which, okay, sure, throw a hinky vote out there. That's definitely something to consider. But she tells MC this plan, and that's where I have a problem. If you're going to do something like this, you got to keep that secret.
Yeah, and this is what I have a problem with. The person who shall not be named on this podcast obviously did this on Winners at War. It was a good move to do it then. To save themselves, and this is a move to try and defend yourself. I think if you're Sophie S, though, you kind of need to lean into this move full bore, and in fact, just because of the way the numbers break out here, the right person for her to maybe throw a hinky vote on is MC. Maybe. Just because of the way things have gone down and maybe the way some of these other conversations are going to go, which we don't understand where their relationship is at until later. But if they know, maybe the hinky vote should go on MC, if anyone. But if it's going to go on Jawan, you don't tell anybody. You just do it.
Yeah.
Tribal Council spooked me. I thought that maybe you actually had been convinced. Maybe Savannah shows up and then it all blows up. Who knows?
MC's going to go tell Jawan what Sophie S told her, because MC wants to rebuild some trust with Jawan. He was hurt that she didn't tell him about her idol play. So she's going to tell Jawan, like, hey, Sophie S wants to throw you out as a hinky vote. MC, what do you think can come from this? Like, all this can do is blow up your spot. Like, yeah, you could turn Sophie S into the target. That could be what you do here. Why would you do that? It's so perfect. Everyone votes for Rizzo, and if the idol is played, Sophie S goes home, and it's not you. Like, that sucks. But why would you do this? There's no reason to do this.
Yeah, this goes back to the beginning of the episode when she didn't have the right read on whether or not, playing the idol was going to make someone like Juwan kind of wary of her. And, that goes back to just knowing who you're working with and knowing, hey, is this someone who is secure in their game and someone who's going to make judgments based off of just single choices that someone else makes, like playing an idol to save themselves in an uncertain time. And that's just the type of player that Juwan is. So I get that it's hard to read something like this, but you have to remember you're on a tribe of 5 right now. Make it to the next day. Ideally, perfect scenario, you make it through with all of your close alliance members intact. With a tribe of 5, that might not happen, but at least you move on. So try not to ruffle any feathers and get yourself voted out of the game is basically the strategy here.
As I am wont to do on this podcast, I have done the math. Which again is more than Chanel ever did. So let's say that Savannah, notwithstanding, because she ends up not playing her vote anyway. So let's assume that it all breaks the same way, and you can go down Ryan's thought bubble here, right? MC keeps this a secret. Sophie throws the hinky vote on Jawan. Rizzo plays his idol, and his vote goes on Sophie S. So now it's 1-to-1 revote. What can MC do with this information? She can now vote out Sophie S with Juwan and Sage, because Rizzo would probably side with Sophie S because Sophie S didn't vote with him. It's 3-2. Sophie S goes home, and MC can say, when I saw that she broke her word, Juwan, I had to go with you. I'm not about that. And that's what builds the bridge. not this random piece of information that doesn't actually save anybody. This was a bad move, plain and simple. And it's the move that I think gets her sent home.
All this does is cause chaos. And when you're in a decent spot, it's not you. The target isn't pointing at you. You don't want to cause chaos necessarily. So yeah, I thought this was really bad on MC.
Derek, I really like that, the way that you lay that out, just because it's almost chess-like, just because you're thinking 2 moves ahead. You know, the very obvious next move for MC is to do exactly what she did. And that's to go to someone who she wants to have a close alliance with and, you know, try to build this connection with and give him information that is going to help him in his game. But that might not be always the best move. You know, sometimes the better move is to let some things play out and still have the benefit of building that connection through other means. And she just wasn't looking further than the very next move. So I like that. I like that,
Thank
Derek.
you. I appreciate that.
Savannah's going to get her advantage, and basically she gets to join the losing group. She has her immunity necklace, so she gets to join them, be part of the vote, or she can bank her vote, save her for another day, because, you know, she could go to this tribal council, and she's just safe. Like, yeah, like, obviously she would have a vested interest in trying to keep Rizzo alive, but beyond that, who cares? So yeah, she can just go there and have this extra vote for rainy day.
And odds are you're on a tribe of 5, now 6. So your 1 vote probably isn't going to matter if they choose to go for Rizzo. If they're going to do it, 1 vote's probably not going to matter. There's not enough people to split the vote here. Maybe there's going to be 1 hinky vote out there that will make a difference. But that'll only make a difference if he ends up playing as idol, which means that your vote doesn't matter. So bank this thing all day. Absolutely.
Which she will. Juwan is going to tell Sage about what Sophie S was plotting. And then Sophie S is going to go tell, or Sage is going to go tell Sophie S that MC leaked the information. So the whole thing is falling apart hilariously in a game of telephone. So Sophie S is like, okay, can't trust MC. So Sophie S is going to go try and do damage control with Juwan.
I love when this happens, when it goes through like 4 people and the person who's originally targeting someone else just goes, hey, tail between their legs. You know, I didn't mean it, I swear.
I was panicking. I got scared. But apparently this works. Somehow she gets back in Juwan's good graces and they work together for this vote, which is pure insanity to me.
It's because Juwan's not good at Survivor.
I think that's the answer.
I don't know if Sophie S can pull off a move like this, but can I tell you what the ideal thing is to do? You go to Juwan and you say, I didn't say that. MC suggested that if I was smart, I would do that. And I said, oh, wow, that would be a good idea. But ultimately, I'm not going to do that.
That'd be interesting. That's interesting.
Just bold lie.
Just like at least insert enough plausible deniability where it's like, hey, MC's the one who kept a secret from you, and now she's trying to repair trust with you. I have not done that.
I would be the supporter trying this because right now, Sophie S is in the hot seat. What can you do to get out of it? So I like that idea, Derek.
Only if you feel you can pull it off. If you're a horrible liar, then I guess you have to do the tail talk.
Hannah Shapiro cannot pull this move off.
That was just one thing I was thinking. You could create enough plausible deniability here by just saying like, no, I didn't say that. MC did. She's trying to Tony you right now.
Yeah. Savannah's going to arrive and explain what happened, but the only person she tells about the bank a vote part is Rizzo. She tells everyone else, yeah, I'm just here to vote. But she says, yeah, most people in the reward expect Sophie S to go because of the complicated situation with Rizzo. They all seem like they would be fine with it. And Rizzo's like, okay, well, that means we should push for someone else because everyone wants Sophie S out. Let's not do that.
She can go next.
She can go next, which is right. That is a good point. And so they start pushing for MC instead.
Yeah, let's not forget that these 2 are still going to be in the minority no matter what happens tonight. As long as they're both still here, they're going to be in the minority come next vote. So if Sophie's a potential person that they could target, awesome. Perfect.
Or if they save her tonight, maybe they can bring her in and maybe work together. That's what they want to do. So yeah, you know, it's a good thought process from them. Sophie S comes back to, should we just go for Rizzo again, and talks to MC about it. And MC's like, I think you're going to vote for me. It's like, that doesn't really help MC.
Okay, MC, for the second time, let's just bear out this little thought exercise. What good does it do to tell Sophie S, I think you're going to vote for me? Okay, if you have the right read, great. She's still going to vote for you. And if you have the wrong read, you may have just manifested that. You may have just been like, I wasn't angry until you accused me of being angry.
MC, you just made Derek use the word manifest.
Wow.
But not the,
Unironically.
not the like the viral fad usage of manifest.
Yeah.
It's like you've manifested this.
You speak it into existence.
Yes.
Through your action as well as your words, not just thinking.
A self-fulfilling prophecy,
Yes.
so to speak. Like there wasn't one until you tried to avoid that fate, and now your fate arrives.
So we're gonna go to Tribal Council. Sophie S pitches, hey, I know a lot of people want me out. Use me as a meat shield. Keep me tonight. People come for me again. They won't come for you. Great pitch. Love it. MC says Sophie S is more likely to stay with Hina. And Sophie S is like, no, I'm not.
Well, when you put it that way.
No, you.
No, you. So MC's going to pull Juwan aside and basically try and start a live tribal. I don't think this works, or I think it was a failed live tribal. At first I thought it was a fake. I was really hoping this was all just a show to blindside Rizzo with an idol in his pocket, which would have been amazing. But I think this is just MC realizing she was in trouble, trying to stir some stuff up, and it didn't work.
Did you think that before I messaged you about it?
Yes, I thought about it at the exact same time you did.
Okay, good.
We were on the same wavelength. We were texting in the group chat. I'm like, this could be phony. I'm like, a fake live tribal is such a fun idea, just to put on a show. Everyone's in on it, and we take someone out.
It has to be coordinated, though.
Yep.
Like, literally everyone except Rizzo and Savannah, I guess, in this scenario, would have to be in on it. And just stir it up, because Rizzo thinks it's going to be two other people. And now those two people are trying to, they're vying for votes. They're pulling people to the side, including Rizzo, but not too much with Rizzo, because, I want to make it seem obvious that it's fake. I don't think we've really seen it before. We've seen manufactured live tribals, but not like a fake live tribal to get someone to play an idol
or lure them to not
or to make them feel safe and then blindsiding them with an idol in their pocket. Either way.
I love this idea. I really, if one of us gets on Survivor, please, let's pull this off. Or anyone who's listening, if you get on Survivor, please try and pull this off. That's such a cool move idea, and I think it could work.
To like prevent someone from playing an idol, to blindside someone with a public idol. Yeah, yes.
Savannah's going to make her vote. Rizzo does not play his idol. It is going to be 4 votes MC, 1 vote Sophie S. This was a terrible move. It really should have been Rizzo, maybe Sophie S. I could understand. But basically what should have happened here is, we take out Rizzo. We blindside him. We lure him into this false insecurity and take him out with an idol in his pocket. That'd be ideal. And what you want to do is set it up. So, we take the shot at Rizzo, and if it ricochets off him, it doesn't land on me. Sophie S. Perfect. Especially for Juwan, because he knows that she has thrown his name out. So why in the hell did Juwan and Sage vote for MC instead of Sophie S? It doesn't make any sense to me, because Sophie S proved that Juwan is expendable to her. So I would have totally understand if they didn't go for Rizzo and went for Sophie S instead, because for Juwan it makes sense, and for Rizzo it makes sense. I could have understood that. MC doesn't make sense.
It's hard for me, because to me the right move, almost the only right move, was for the 4 to try and take out Rizzo's idol. If one of them has a successful read at this point, and actually with Savannah here, a hinky vote no longer protects you. Just go 4 strong and try and take out the guy with the idol who was in the original Minority Alliance, and just do as much posturing as you can to make sure that you're not the target. And that's what I think that you do. And I honestly think that's what enough people should have done, such that, okay, if Savannah and Rizzo both vote for MC, congratulations. The other 3, you still took your shot at Rizzo and got him out. Or he plays his idol and, well, you took your shot, idol's gone, and MC's gone, and you're all still here. So to me, it was the wrong move. Everyone should have targeted Rizzo. Rizzo should have played his idol. And at that point, what should have happened is what Rizzo wants to happen. MC goes home. So I'm going to say that the right thing happened, but not for the right reasons at all.
That's fair.
It should have been Rizzo. And it should have been Rizzo just because the second that Savannah stepped on the beach, Rizzo had confidence. He was overconfident in his position. Just all of a sudden, one extra vote made him feel like there was zero chance that he was going home tonight and that he wasn't going to play his idol. I know that he was considering it. I don't think he was considering it that hard. Any conversation that he had with Savannah made it sound like he was going to take the risk. Like, he's like, I know it's a big risk, but I'm going to do it. And that's just the type of player that he is. So I don't think for a second that I think they should have known that his false confidence just by one extra vote was going to be enough for him not to play the idol. All the votes should have gone on him. And then, whoever gets the ricochet sucks to suck if he plays the idol, but I don't think he would have played the idol. Even like Derek made a good point. Even one hinky vote doesn't matter because no, there's 2 votes there. So why?
Yeah.
Like, which honestly even makes it worse that this was even brought up as a potential plan.
Yeah.
Like, why even bring up a hinky vote plan when the other side has 2 votes?
So maybe the right person went home, but yeah, the people did not play well, is my point. The mistakes were made. What did social media think?
Yeah, so across our social medias, about 85% of people said no. The right person did not go home tonight. So maybe they think it should have been Rizzo. Maybe they think
Probably.
it should have been someone else. Sophie, who knows?
Juwan. Sage. I don't know. Who knows?
Everybody. Savannah gives up immunity and goes home.
Yeah, exactly. Should we get into best and worst player of the episode?
Yep.
Sure.
So for best, I'll go first. I have Rizzo. I gave an honorable mention to Savannah for saving herself and banking her vote. But my best is Rizzo because I really liked his damage control. Seemed to have some effect. He survived this vote and held on to his idol against all odds. Whatever he did worked.
I'm not going to argue with Rizzo. He was my honorable mention. I went with Savannah because it was sort of a win and in situation for her, or like lose and you're out again. And I think that in her group of 5, she was absolutely going home.
Totally fair.
So I have Savannah for that. Rizzo, man, to not play your idol, to me, was the wrong move here. So kudos for holding on to it, because obviously you felt like you made enough headway with Juwan and Sage, and to the possibility of rekindling an original Uli was attractive and alluring enough to get you through tonight. So solid read, not maybe the smartest game move in my opinion, but like, hey, you still got your hardware. What can I even say?
Yeah, no, it was the right move, it turns out.
It was the right move. I have no idea if I would have been able to do it. I don't think so. We talk all the time that you want to save your idol for really hard times like this. If you can get yourself through, especially with a public idol. Last time he made it very 100% public, like, hey, here it is, and I'm going to play it. There's your 1. Next time you better burn it, especially when it's a tribe of 5. So this thing would have been out of my pocket, in Jeff's hand, 99 times out of 100, unless I just, really, really, really felt good about that. So I'm giving my best to Rizzo because of that.
Worst player. Derek, who do you got?
So I had a little bit of a hard time with this one just because, look, I say that MC going home was like kind of de facto the right move because Rizzo should have played his idol. But the way things bore out, it probably shouldn't have been. However, I saw enough genuinely bad gameplay from like Sophie S after having a good idea that I'm landing on Sophie S, because now she's kind of on the wrong side of the votes. She's kind of on the outs. She was already kind of on the bottom with her original Hina alliance. At least MC going home for Juwan and Sage. MC could have beaten them every day of the week and twice on Sunday. So while them voting for her might not necessarily be the best, at least in theory, someone who could beat them is now gone. I felt like Sophie S just overplayed her position, was too excited to make a move that was very short-sighted, and talked about it with too many people, and then had to do damage control rather than coming up with something a little more clever to try and steer it back on people. And it could have all been on Rizzo, and it was probably Sophie's fault that it didn't end up that way. So I landed with Sophie S, but I can be talked out of this spot.
If MC was eligible, it'd be her. Just,
Yes.
really figuring out how to play yourself out of this game. That's what happened this episode. But unfortunately, she's not eligible. So I am also going to give it to Sophie for kind of close to the same thing. Once again, it's a tribe of 5. If you can figure out how to, make it through this vote, great. just don't do too much. Don't do too much. Throw out a hinky vote. Make it public to someone just for it to come back at you. She's lucky that it wasn't her.
I'm going to disagree with you guys, and here's why. Sophie S. dug herself a hole, for sure. She got out of it. I don't know how in the hell she did it, but she did it. She was not the target, even though, like, I would have been fine if she was. It would have made sense. My worst is Jawan. Taking out MC makes zero sense for him. Okay, step one, maybe we go for Rizzo. Cool, he's got an idol. Makes sense to me, right? We've talked about that. But okay, so then Sophie S. throws out Jawan's name as like the hinky vote, and he learns about this. Okay, you want to change the plan and take out Sophie S. because she's willing to take you out? I get it for him. That makes sense. I would have been fine with it. Somehow, he gets into MC, the person who warned him that Sophie S. was coming for him, and he takes her out instead. It makes zero sense whatsoever. So, because Sophie S. got herself out of this pit she dug, and Jawan, it doesn't make any sense at all. Jawan's my worst player.
I'm not gonna stand up for Jawan, man. I'm not gonna do it.
Yeah, that makes complete sense. Honestly, I wasn't even considering Jawan just because this seems par for the course with him.
Was that argument enough to change either of your minds? Because I feel like that was pretty good.
So, okay, the only thing, if I'm trying to weigh this live, right, is that Sophie S. has been largely very purple edit. Like, we've gotten some like colorful commentary from her where she's in confessional saying, I'm really frustrated about the way things are going right now. But she hasn't really been a narrator or an orator for the season. So what we've gotten for her game so far has been in between the lines. Well, we finally got to see Sophie S. play the game, and it wasn't good. So it's almost more as a viewer, I had more revealed to me today about Sophie, enough to tell me or inform me about the game she's played up to this point. So maybe you're right, and maybe I'm okay with changing it for this episode, that Jawan is the worst player of this episode, but I still feel, as a viewer, I feel worse overall about Sophie S.'s game now than I do about Jawan. So she fell further for me, if that makes sense.
Sure,
perception.
That makes sense, but we got to remember we're looking beyond just viewers. This is an edit. We have to look beyond and read between the lines, and how are the other players perceiving people, and everyone needs to be on equal footing in terms of how we look at their games. I know it's hard to do that, but that's what we need to do. So on that level, I know we haven't seen Sophie S. as much. Again, I still think Jawan's the worst.
Yeah, and I'm changing my of the episode to Jawan, but I still wanted to let the viewers know, like, my feeling tells me that like Sophie S. probably did worse overall, I guess, but not in this episode. Contained beginning to end, this sequence, I think you're right. I think it's Jawan.
I'm gonna still stick with Sophie. It's a toss up. I didn't really
Classic
realize...
stubborn Josh.
Yeah, that's fine. I didn't realize that Jawan had not played with either MC or Sophie S this entire game up until the merge, because he was alone without them on Uli. He was on the opposite tribe when it was split between Hina and Kele, and then when it was just the groups of 4, he was opposite them as well. So for him and kind of for everyone else, it really made sense. And I don't think we've seen a whole lot of this in the edit, but there was a really small snippet that ended up coming up about MC having all these different connections. I think it was actually Rizzo maybe who had mentioned like the web of connections, which I really liked, because I feel like we had brought that up on the podcast before. And that MC's, it has had all these interactions and conversations, and she could, have a really good social game because of that. So that is a better reason to take her out versus Sophie, who won one challenge. So
But she threw his name out.
I understand. But unless he is going to end up being the actual vote, I think that that's something that he can kind of keep in his back pocket for later.
Okay, I think you're being stubborn again, but whatever.
That's fine. I'm just saying both of them are fine.
I support you, Josh.
Thanks, Derek.
I don't, but that's okay. Let's get into who is going next. Josh, start us off. What's going to happen?
Oh, man. Everyone's going to come together. We saw in the next time on Survivor, like, we could be the strongest trio in the game. I'm going to stick with the same thing that I had this week. I think it's Savannah. I think they're going to come back together, and there's going to be a push. There's going to be a push for, them to move some people around, maybe to get out a Sophie or a Jawan or who knows. But I think at the end of the day, there's going to be enough forces together to get out Savannah instead, even with the extra vote.
Yeah, I don't think MC going is going to rattle too many people too much. I think everyone will get over it, and the clear and present danger is still Rizzo's idol. We'll do a split. Savannah goes home.
I had Savannah written down as well, though I do have a note saying that the next person targeted should probably be Sophie B on paper. So I think it's going to be Savannah, but I think it should probably be Sophie B before we let Kayleigh get too far as a Matt Singh situation. So like, there's my opinion. It'll be Savannah, but it should be Sophie B.
I'm okay with it being like one of the two duo this time, but then Sophie B needs to go soon, though, for sure.
Yes.
Yeah, Savannah and Rizzo are a tighter duo than Sophie B and Alex.
Yeah. All right, let's get into the rank downs, dank downs, lank downs, and jank downs. Let's start off with the lank downs from last week. What did we get?
Yeah, last week, thank you to everyone who submitted on Spotify, social media. I like to put Derek to work trying to get those averages together. So thank you for doing that. Please do it again this week. If you want to pause right now and go do it on Spotify, go for it. For last week, the listeners in order at the top had Steven, which, was agreeing with both Ryan and Derek, followed by Sophie B, MC, rest in peace, Rizzo, Sage, Alex, Savannah, Jawan, Sophie S, and Christina. So across the board, all four of us, the three of us, and then the listeners all agreed that Christina was at the bottom. That's the only thing that we all agreed on.
Okay, well, that's last week. Let's move on to this week. I'll start this off with my rank down. So from who can beat everybody to who can't beat anybody, I have Steven at the top still. But I'm going to say I moved Sophie S here. I don't think she will win. I really don't think she'll win based on edit. But she is really built up as a threat in this episode. So I think if she could manage to make it to the end, she has a really solid shot of winning just because, like, wow, you did it as this big threat. You did it. So I have Sophie S here. I don't think it's going to happen. Let me be clear. But again, we're looking at beyond just the edit. These are all equal people on the island. How would it be out there?
And again, if the game ended today.
Yes. Then I have Alex, Sage, Sophie B, Rizzo, and then my bottom three are Jawan, Savannah, and Christina. So I have my two who can't win are Savannah and Christina, though I do think Savannah would beat Christina in a surprise final two. But Jawan, Savannah, and Christina need to find a way to work together. Good luck.
Yeah, I had a little bit of movement. I guess the core structure stayed the same, so we're plucking MC out of there, but I believe I had one faller and one riser this week, though I guess one was featured and one really wasn't. So starting from the top, I have most likely to win still as Steven. I have not been moved off that spot. And I'm not changing Sophie B nor Rizzo either. But I think coming after that, I have Sage and Alex, a riser from my initial dank down a couple spots. Savannah, Sophie S, a faller. And then Juwan and Christina then as my final two who cannot win. So in a final three situation, Sophie S beats Juwan and Christina. Surprise final two, Juwan beats Christina.
Okay.
All right. And then for me, I really only had one change this time. So if you just take out, MC, obviously, I swapped around. I kept Sophie B at the top, number one for me. And then I just swapped Rizzo and Steven. So Steven's now in third for me. And that's just because, we have seen a lot from him, but man, does that take guts, Rizzo, to not play your idol. And as far as just like things that you have done in this game, if the game ended right now and it was, Rizzo, Steven, and whoever else in this game, I think that Rizzo has a good enough case to make to beat Steven in the end. So because of that, so like I said, Sophie B, Rizzo, Steven, followed by Sage, Savannah, Alex, Sophie S, Jawan, and then Christina.
Okay.
So nothing else really changed for me. Ryan, back to what you were saying. I think that this is all just kind of temporary fluff for Sophie S. And not because, hey, I don't think that she's going to win, but in this moment, I think that she could. No, I think it's more just editing fluff as like, maybe not editing fluff, but just narrative. It's narrative that people are saying, she's a threat. I think they're just kind of like looking for a name to toss out there, and that, if we really were at Final Tribal Council right now and she was there, I don't think that she would be getting that type of praise.
It's evidence. It is evidence.
I'm just saying.
So, and I'm just saying I'm right. But again, Sophie really has no chance edit-wise, I believe. Let's get into the survivor pool. Where are we at, Josh?
Oh man, it is getting hairy. And so, to recap last week, Ryan and I both had Savannah. So I was paying very close attention to that immunity challenge when it was the two of them, because it really felt like if Savannah dropped, she was going home.
It was do or die.
So good on her for surviving the do or die situation.
And good on us, Josh. Good on us.
Yeah, good on us. And several other listeners who picked Savannah as well.
Nice.
I think there's many people who are in dire situations right now in the survivor pool. Meanwhile, Derek picked Juwan, and he was nervous for a little bit, but ended up making it through. We did lose one lone listener in our pool. Nicole had picked MC, and MC is no more. So sorry, Nicole, but you are out. Thank you for playing.
Thank you so much. Please play again next season. Rest in peace.
Rest in peace. And we've had a couple of people who are starting to get a little worried that they're running out of players. So I think the losses are going to start piling up here pretty soon.
You got to look out for that hot Grim Reaper. She'll put you in the graveyard.
That she will.
All right. So Derek, you're first.
Yes, and Josh, because there are so few people left, why don't you just give everyone a recap of where we're at? Because Ryan and I have the same people.
Same four.
Yep. So Ryan and Derek have Steven, Sophie S, Sophie B, and Alex remaining. Whereas I only have Steven, Sage, and Rizzo left.
Okay.
So you guys are, if you want to think about it this way, you guys are one ahead of me.
Yep.
So I'm still kind of a little bit more desperate than you.
All right, Derek, what are you going to do?
Yep, I think I'm picking a relatively safe option this week. We'll see. I could be completely off. I'm going to go with Alex this week.
Okay.
Seems pretty safe.
Josh.
Yeah, could I use Rizzo and his idol? Yeah, I could, but I'm not going to. I'm going to go with Sage. I think that Sage is probably the least likely to make it to the end out of the three that I have remaining. So I'm going to go with Sage here, hoping that, she makes it through this episode. And then, I mean, honestly, I don't care what happens after that with her.
So, if I wanted to play maximize how long I can go. So pick someone who I don't think is going to last very long. And hopefully I can keep everybody else. I'd probably pick Sophie S. I think she will go soon. So I thought about picking her, but there's a chance she goes next. I think that's a little too risky for my blood. So I'm going to do exactly what Derek did. I'm going with Alex.
All right, man. That's why I didn't pick Sophie S. I feel like I need to see something with them as a big group before I'm willing to take that big of a swing again.
So Josh could win this week.
I could win this week. I don't think I will, because I don't think Alex is going home. But I am hoping that maybe Sophie S goes, because I don't have her still. I already used her. So that would bring me back to even with you guys. And that would
with
be
an idol in your pocket.
With an idol in my pocket.
Exciting. Okay, so that wraps up another episode, but I know we got some questions and feedback from people, so let's get into that.
Yes, as always, thank you to everyone who sends in questions. Keep doing so. We'll answer them on the podcast. So Blake on the social media that we do not name says, it seems being a challenge beast has taken a back seat for a reason to vote someone out. Is there a scenario where someone could win against a player with a better social game? And if social game is all that matters, then why try and challenges? Good social means not voted out.
Yeah, I think someone could win against someone with a better social game if the person with the social game did nothing. We've had people who are very well liked make it to the end, but really didn't do much. So if someone has a decent social game and a better strategic game, I think they can win. But if you Russell Hantz, you have a horrible social game, but a good strategic game, then you're not going to win. So it's a balance. And then, again, the physical one doesn't matter so much. It is to save yourself or to prevent somebody else from winning immunity.
Yeah, I think something that's been interesting, the way that people frame it, and I don't even know if it's recent now, but is what do you do with those challenge wins? How did you use that to your advantage to position yourself in the game or make moves? If it really doesn't work to just be a challenge beast, I don't think. You have to, and you also have to have at least a positive social game. It can't be neutral and can't be negative. Otherwise you will lose. But then, kind of parlaying that into, I did this and I used it to my advantage to make this move, form this alliance, get this person out, whatever it might be. And then that will stand up a lot better against someone who is just is really likable and has a good social game.
I would say the proof is in the pudding. Ozzy was a challenge beast, and he lost to the person who had a good strategic game and a great social game. It's possible, but it's unlikely. That shouldn't be the focal point of your game.
All right. Thank you, Blake. On to Dawson on Spotify. Question was, would you come into the game with a cool alliance name you've already come up with, or would you try to let them come to you organically out there?
You definitely want to be organic. If you try and force it, you end up being like Nick Wilson and F him, and people thought he was disingenuous. He still won, but yeah, he was still seen as disingenuous. Organic is the way to go, always.
Organic, I have a merge tribe name that I want to bring in.
Okay, but that's not an alliance.
I know. That's the only pre-made name I'm bringing in.
Yep, I agree with you guys. So thanks again, Dawson. Craig, I like this one. I don't know how much we're going to be able to talk about it, but Craig on Spotify says, this season has made a lot of references to Survivor being like surviving a horror movie. In a hypothetical season of Survivor with all horror movie final girls and guys, who would be your pick to win?
Yeah, I think someone like Sydney Prescott from Scream could do a great job. I mean, she's like the best. Nancy from like A Nightmare on Elm Street, I think would be another good one. I think most final girls do a good job. Usually they're pretty likable and smart and at least physically capable to some extent. So there aren't too many bad final girls. One I think would not do well is Sally from Texas Chainsaw Massacre. She wasn't the nicest to her brother. I get her brother was super annoying. For those who've seen Texas Chainsaw Massacre, you know what I'm talking about. So I don't think Sally would do great. And her most recent appearance, she's not very bright in that movie. So that's my opinion. But I think most final girls and guys can do a great job.
Yeah, I would say you want somebody who is good in a pinch, doesn't panic, and has some cleverness, some wits about them. So Sidney Prescott from Scream is great. I think not exactly like a final guy, but I think Cillian Murphy's character from 28 Days Later is another one who would potentially do really, really well, can turn the tables on the antagonists. And for anyone who's seen the more recent movie, Long Walk, I think some characters in The Long Walk who make it further would do a really good job in Survivor as well.
See, I feel like the one thing with Sydney Prescott is that I don't think she would have a really great social game. Like, she seems like she's very just kind of closed off, which a lot of final girls are as well. So I think you'll have to find someone who has a really good social game. Maybe Nancy is a good one there, like you mentioned. All right, thanks for the creative one, Craig. So Chloe on Spotify asks, because they forgot, I think we mentioned at the beginning of the season, but they asked, have any of you been spoiled on who's returning for season 50? If not, who would you guess are the returnees? If yes, is it tainting your viewing experience of this season? I want to hear from you guys on this. I'm going to abstain because I'm the only one on this podcast who has been spoiled on one of the people. So I'm not going to even put any input into this conversation because I don't want to give anything away. I'd just like to hear if you guys would pick two people, who it would be.
I don't know. I haven't thought about it.
I'm going to guess that it'll be Rizzo and Steven.
Well, isn't it a man and a woman? Or is it
I don't know. I have no idea.
Sophie B and Rizzo, I guess. I don't know.
I can see that too.
And then last one from Felicia. Well, she actually asked two questions, so just to clear up for people in case you don't know the rules. With the Survivor pool, yes, if you run out of people to pick, you are out. It's part of planning out who you're going to pick. And then she also asked, what individual immunity challenge would you want to play the most if you were on the show? Personally, I'd love to play some Ocean.
Man, I don't know. Obstacle course, pretty much any iteration of that would be fun. The one where you have to try and stack the blocks with your feet, I think would be really fun. And then the one where you got to hold your breath under the grate, I think would be fun.
Yeah, Rising Tide or High Tide or whatever it is. That one is great. I love some Ocean. I want to be a part of an OG coconut chop. I think that would be fun just to experience.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks again, Felicia, for that one. And that's all we got.
Derek had one.
All right. Well, nope. I got, and so that's the last of our questions, but we did have a couple fun comments and or reviews come in this week, so I want to read those out for everyone. So on Apple Podcasts, we have Freaky, who says, my current obsession, 5 stars, watching old Survivor seasons and binge listening to their Rewind series in addition to their weekly recaps of the current season. As a nerd, I really appreciate how they deep dive on the strategy of it all. Thank you, Josh, Derek, and Ryan. I less than 3, you guys.
Oh, thanks. Less than 3 U too.
We
Thank
less
you
than
so
three
much.
you too.
But it's like the letter U and the number 2.
Yes, it's the heart.
Yes.
Um,
Thank you so much.
And then from Kira on social media, they said they came to the show just by searching Survivor Podcast on Spotify. So that's fun for us to know that we come up when you search
Good.
Survivor Podcast
Love
on
that.
Spotify. And they are sending all of their love and appreciation from the UK with the content and effort that we put out and trying to keep things as spoiler free. And they made another note that they are taking the Derek route where they're listening to the podcast and going through with me as I'm kind of experiencing it the first time.
Love
So
it.
Kira, for you, we are 99% spoiler free. Don't be angry if there's a little bit of a slip up in there. Happy to have you on as a listener, so thank you.
Thank you so much. Okay, so that wraps up this episode. Anything else, guys?
Nope,
All right, this has been the Castaway Consultants.
got nothing else for you.
Good night.